I'm running, each breath burning as it escapes my lungs, my long leather trench coat flapping against my legs, slowing me down. It's heavy and smells like rain and smoke. Ahead of me, the woman, my guide, my saviour, or something else entirely, glances back. Her dark silky hair bounces as she pulls me forward. She wears a vintage device strapped around her wrist, its metallic surface worn and covered in symbols I can't quite read. Her hands, dusted with soot, grip mine firmly, the urgency in her touch clear. Above, the air is filled with the relentless thrum of rotor blades. Helicopters hover, their searchlights sweeping the streets. The buildings around us look like they belong to another century, old brick and timber. But each is laced with advanced technology. Neon signs flicker and hum, mechanical shutters snap shut as we pass, and the street lamps pulse, as if scanning for movement. The people, some human, some robotic, stare as we sprint past. The humanoid machines, with their glowing eyes and jointed limbs, move smoothly, almost too naturally, observing, but not interfering. I want to shout, to ask why no one helps, but all I can do is keep moving, my chest tightening with every step. We turn down a narrow back street, the shadows growing longer as the faulty streetlights flicker above us. The buildings press in, the air feels thick, and every step echoes off the cobblestones. Up ahead, the station comes into view. Its iron gates are shut. The digital display above flickers between numbers, all in an unreadable script. The lady pulls me toward a side door, one I wouldn't have noticed on my own. It's small and dirty, its black paint chipped and flaking. It looks like it hasn't been used in decades, maybe longer. The door seems false, like it's been bricked up behind it, and my heart sinks. But she doesn't hesitate. With practiced precision, she twists the handle and pushes, and the door swings open. We step into a narrow chamber lit by a dim, flickering bulb. A small vintage CCTV camera, one of those clunky models from the 1980s, tilts down, its lens focusing on us. A blue light scans over our bodies, leaving a tingly sensation on my skin. I hold my breath, glancing at her for reassurance, but her eyes are fixed ahead, her expression unreadable. Finally, there's a click, and the door behind us locks. The one in front lifts slowly, metal grinding against metal, revealing a passageway lined with old maintenance lights. The air smells like rust and dust, and the walls are covered in cobwebs. Traversing through the corridor, my eyes adjust to the dim light. The walls are lined with vintage items, old walkie-talkies, old televisions, videotapes, rotary phones with their faded dials. The woman moves quickly, navigating the space like she's been here before. I want to ask questions, but the words stick in my throat. Why am I here? Who is she? What's happening? We reach the end of the passage, where an old-fashioned elevator waits. Its metal shutters are rusted, and it takes both of us to pull them open. As we step inside, I catch my breath, my mind racing. "Speak," she says, her voice soft but insistent. "You need to tell me if you remember anything." I shake my head. I don't. She sighs, disappointment flashing across her face. As the elevator descends, time seems to stretch. I count the seconds in my head. The sensation of falling makes my stomach churn, but she holds onto my arm. "You were in a high-security facility," she says. "I broke you out, but we don't have much time." The elevator stops with a shudder, and the doors creak open. The basement is dark and filled with the scent of oil and metal. A man, or what appears to be, steps into the light. He's older, with a long grey beard and spectacles perched on his nose. He wears a waistcoat and trousers that look like they're from another century, and his left arm, sparking and sputtering, is clearly mechanical. "Welcome," he says, his voice crackling like a recording. You're safe here for now. The man steps aside, revealing a table cluttered with gadgets. He picks up a device, a cube, the size of my palm, glowing faintly in the dim light. It looks like a puzzle, its sides alternating between luminescent blue and a deeper purplish shade. My compere takes it carefully, inspecting it. This is the key, the man says. It will help you navigate the shift. She nods, pocketing the device, and he motions toward an old sofa. She pulls it aside, revealing a narrow shaft hidden behind it. This way, he instructs. We crawl through, the walls pressing close, the air thick with dust. My knees scrape against the metal, and the faint hum of machinery vibrates through the shaft's frame. The purple-green aura at the end glows brighter as we approach, the light distorting the air like heat waves. When we pass through, the world shifts. Suddenly, we're surrounded by snow and towering trees. The air bites at my face, and I feel my boots crunch against the frozen ground. Soldiers, clad in heavy armour, line the horizon, thousands of them on either side. Helicopters hover, tanks rumble, and the air is filled with the distant sound of shouting. I stare, stunned. We're here to stop this, my compere says, urgency in her voice. We have one shot. She fumbles with the cube, twisting it in a precise pattern. There's a blinding flash, and everything freezes. The world falls silent, and time itself seems to hang in suspension. I see tank shells paused mid-air, soldiers locked in motion. We move between the suspended soldiers, their expressions frozen in determination or fear. My compere scans each face, her eyes darting back and forth. We're looking for someone, she says. This mission depends on it. I follow her, stepping carefully between the soldiers, my heart pounding in my chest. After a few minutes, she stops. Here, she whispers. She crouches down beside a soldier with dark hair, reaching into her bag for a small pair of scissors. With a quick snip, she takes a strand of his hair, placing it into a plastic bag. We have what we need. She taps her wrist device, and a small holographic screen appears. Hold on to me, she commands. I grab her arm, and the world shifts again. We're pulled upward, and suddenly we're standing inside one of the helicopters, still suspended in time. She quickly moves to the controls, her fingers flying over the buttons as she takes command of the machine. The light on the horizon, which had been growing larger, now blazes like a second sun. Time resumes, and everything erupts into chaos. The soldiers scream, the tanks fire, and we push the helicopter forward, veering away from the centre of the conflict. The light swallows everything in its path, and the air fills with a searing heat. I shield my eyes, and everything goes white.